About 3 years ago, I was under a lot of stress from dealing with people. I just wanted to be completely alone, somewhere I wouldn't have to see or talk to anyone. So I decided to go camping in a place where no one else would be around. After searching for a while, I finally found what seemed like the perfect spot. When the day came, I drove out and arrived deep in the forest. As soon as I got there, I started setting up my tent. Not long after, I heard a rustling sound behind me. Startled, I turned around, but there was no one there. After a moment of complete silence, I suddenly heard someone laughing from behind a tree. My heart dropped.
"Who's there?"
I yelled. Then I heard a quiet male voice reply. "I'm not telling you." I assumed it was just some weird guy messing with me, so I tried to stay polite.
"I'm sorry, but I came out here to be alone today. If you're gonna mess around, please do it somewhere else."
He didn't respond. He just stayed silent. I was annoyed by his strange behavior, but I figured he'd leave eventually, so I focused on finishing my tent. After I was done, I looked around to see if he was still there, but I couldn't tell. There were no sounds at all. So I sat down, watched some YouTube videos, and ate a simple canned meal. When night fell, I finally went into my tent and laid down to sleep. That's when I heard a voice. "Going to sleep now?" It was the same voice from earlier. Panicking, I jumped out of the tent and looked toward where the sound came from. It was the same tree the man had been hiding behind earlier. I could still hear him laughing.
"Who are you? Have you been here this whole time?"
I shouted. "I'm really good at hiding," he said quietly. At that point, I was convinced something was seriously wrong with this guy, and I lost my patience.
"Hey, stop messing around and come out here!"
I yelled. Suddenly, he sprinted to another tree and hid behind it. Then, everything went silent again. I was angry, but I had no idea what to do. I didn't want to get closer, and I had no idea what he might do. I was debating whether I should pack up and leave when he spoke again. "That tent is going to be your coffin." That was it. I decided I needed to get as far away from this lunatic as possible and started tearing down my tent. That's when he shouted, "Where do you think you're going? Do you have any idea how long I've been waiting to roast you?" I started rushing even faster. Suddenly, he screamed and burst out from behind the tree, charging straight at me. I ran to my car, locked the doors, and drove off immediately. He chased after me and slammed his hands against my car windows. I might have been mistaken, but his hands looked enormous, at least twice the size of a normal person's. I barely remember the drive. I just got as far away as I could, called the police, and went straight home. I don't know what happened after that. All I know is that I wasn't hurt, and I'm grateful for that. But even now, whenever I think back to that night, my breathing starts to speed up.
Hello, my name is Jacob, and I'm from County Wexford, Ireland. This happened when I was 9 years old. My father and I visited Loftus Hall, which is widely known as one of the most haunted mansions in Ireland. I'd always been fascinated by haunted houses, so I was genuinely excited to finally see it in person. Loftus Hall is located near the Hookhead Lighthouse in County Wexford. When we arrived by car and my father saw the house up close, he looked visibly shocked. The mansion was originally built around the year 1350 by the Redmond family. In 1666, it later came into the possession of the Tottenham family. Sometime in the mid-18th century, the Tottenham family experienced a horrific event in that house. After that, the building was used for various purposes over the years, including as a convent and a hospital. Eventually, in 2011, it was purchased by the Quigley family and opened to the public as a tourist attraction. While we were on the tour, I overheard other visitors talking about the house, and that's when I learned the legend that has been passed down through generations. This is the story they told. It was a stormy night. The Tottenham family, who were living in the mansion at the time, were sitting down to dinner when they suddenly heard a knock at the door. When the head of the household opened it, he found a handsome young man dressed entirely in black standing outside. The family later referred to him as the Dark Stranger. They were a religious family, and they believed it would be unchristian to turn a stranger away, so they let him in and allowed him to stay. One of the daughters of the family, Anne Tottenham, who was believed to have been around 16 years old, became infatuated with him. One evening after dinner, the family and the dark stranger were playing cards together. At some point, one of the cards fell onto the floor. When Anne bent down to pick it up, she noticed something horrifying beneath the table. The dark stranger's feet were shaped like a goat's hooves. Anne immediately jumped up and shouted, "Your feet are split!" At that moment, the dark stranger burst into flames and shot up into the air and burst through the ceiling before vanishing into the night sky. A massive hole was left behind in the ceiling. According to legend, no matter how many times the family tried to repair it, the ceiling kept cracking. After that night, Anne was never the same. Her behavior changed completely. She stopped speaking and lived in a constant state of fear. Eventually, her family locked her inside her room. She refused to eat and spent most of her time staring out the window, as if she were waiting for the dark stranger to return. Anne died in 1775. When her family discovered her body, it was said to be rigid, with her arms and legs twisted into unnatural positions. No matter how hard they tried, they were unable to straighten her body. In the end, she was buried in that twisted posture. People later claimed that because Anne had seen the devil himself, her soul was twisted. Over the years, those who entered her room reported hearing whispers and the sound of footsteps when no one else was there. At one point during the tour, a visitor asked me to open the door to the room where Anne had been kept. The moment I opened it, I briefly saw the figure of a woman dressed in black standing right in front of me. I believe it was Anne's ghost. I also felt an intense, unnatural cold, but as more people entered the room, the cold suddenly disappeared. Years have passed since then. When I think back on that house, part of me still wants to visit it again someday, but I've since learned that the property has changed ownership, and it is no longer open to the public.
Around 2015, I was living in Tempe and working at a credit card company's call center. I worked the night shift, and I practically lived on coffee. I drank so much of it that my clothes always smelled like coffee. The job itself wasn't that hard. What really made it difficult was one of my coworkers, Amber. We were constantly on calls with no time for small talk. Tall cubicle walls separated each desk, so we couldn't even see each other's faces. Because of that, even though we worked together for over 6 months, we'd barely ever spoken. Then one day, I ran into her in the break room. She suddenly said to me, "I've explained this 3 times already. How do you still not understand?" I honestly thought I misheard her. "Excuse me?" She looked at me and added, "That's what I wanted to say to the customer I was just on the phone with. He was unbelievably frustrating." For a moment, I just stood there, confused. Then I started to feel irritated. I asked her why she was saying that to me. She didn't respond. She simply walked back to her desk, sat down, and started taking calls again as if nothing had happened. I decided I'd confront her after work. When my shift ended and I walked to the parking lot, I saw her standing there, waiting for me. I was surprised, but I kept a straight face and asked her why she had talked to me like that earlier. She smiled and said, "Oh, so it bothered you?" I didn't really have a choice. I had nowhere else to vent my anger. The customer wasn't in front of me, and breaking the monitor would have cost too much. As she spoke so calmly, my hands started to shake. This wasn't the usual caffeine jitters. It was fear and anger. I warned her very clearly never to speak to me like that again. Her expression changed instantly. Her eyes went cold. And then she said, I think I know what I should break next." The moment I saw her eyes, I understood. This was the kind of person you should never get close to. I ignored her and got into my car. She suddenly slipped off one of her heels and raised it, as if she were about to smash my window. I panicked, started the engine, and drove straight home. That night, I texted my team leader and told him everything. The next day, Amber was officially warned. After that, I avoided even making eye contact with her. Then one day, I heard she had quit. I felt relieved. But not long after that, when I finished work and walked to the parking lot, she was standing right next to my car. She positioned herself in front of the driver's door as if to block me from getting in. She said she wanted to apologize and asked if I'd get something to eat with her. Something felt very wrong, but against my better judgment, I agreed. We went to a nearby diner. As we ate, I realized she hadn't come to apologize at all. Her apology was brief and empty. The entire time she stared at me as if she might stab me with her fork at any moment. A forced smile stayed frozen on her face. When I finally got home, an overwhelming, unexplainable exhaustion washed over me. The next day, she was waiting for me in the parking lot again. Once again, she asked me to grab a bite with her. I told myself this would be the last time. While we were eating, she suddenly said, "There's something I've always wondered." "What is it?" I asked. "How do people live like that?" she said. "What do you mean?" "How does everyone manage to keep living while holding back the urge to kill someone?" she whispered. "They're so good at suppressing it, but I'm not anymore." She leaned closer and continued, "I'm trying to decide whether or not I should stab you with a knife right now." That was when I finally understood what she was. I looked straight into her eyes and said slowly, "You're not like most people, and honestly, I pity you. You're going to spend the rest of your life suppressing a dream that can never come true." Then I left. I went straight home. Thankfully, she never came looking for me again. But even now, I still wonder, what kind of person was she? And what exactly was she planning to do to me?